Hey guys, Gizmodit here, and the Zenfone 5Z is almost neck to neck with the OnePlus 6. Not only does it have a very similar hardware, it's at least 5000 rupees cheaper as well. But the big question that a lot of you guys have is about the cameras on both of these phones. So I've put them through a variety of scenarios, and this video will answer all of your doubts about the camera performance. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. First, we'll talk about some numbers. So the OnePlus 6 has got a 16 megapixel primary sensor with OIS and a 20 megapixel secondary sensor that helps in low light. The Zenfone 5Z on the other hand has a 12 megapixel primary sensor, once again with optical image stabilization, and an 8 megapixel secondary sensor for wide angle shots. It's pretty wide, and I love this configuration of a secondary wide angle lens as compared to the one on the OnePlus 6. The camera app on the OnePlus 6 offers you the auto mode, a pro mode, and now it also has Google Lens integrated into it as well. The Zenfone 5Z on the other hand gets an auto mode, a pro mode, a pretty cool GIF animation mode, and then there's this super resolution mode which lets you take photos up to 50 megapixels. But then let's just get to the point now and compare the images from both of these phones. In broad daylight, both of these phones are performing really well. The Zenfone Max Pro has punchier, more contrasty images in some photos, but the OnePlus 6 is much closer to the actual scene. If you compare the photos side by side, you'd notice that the OnePlus 6 has better dynamic range and the shadows and highlights are much more visible on it. I had both of these phones in the auto mode, and the Zenfone 5Z tends to shoot in HDR mode a lot. And Asus has this scene detection thing going on in the camera software, so in some rare scenarios it might be a little inconsistent, but overall, both of these phones perform very well, with the OnePlus 6 having a tiny bit of an advantage. The same results are seen in the indoor conditions as well. Look at the lamp in this photo. The OnePlus 6 has captured the colors really well as compared to the Zenfone 5Z. The noise levels are same on both of these phones, but then the OnePlus 6 is still marginally better with its dynamic range. But here comes the twist. When I switched to the extremely dimly lit scenarios, the Zenfone 5Z kept on using the HDR mode and the results were better on the OnePlus 6. But then I manually turned off HDR and tried it out again, and the results are so much better on the Zenfone 5Z than the OnePlus 6. I tried the same thing on both of these phones, and the Zenfone 5Z without any doubt produces better photos in extremely low lighting scenarios. That's kind of funny because the OnePlus 6 has a secondary sensor dedicated just for low light, but then the Zenfone still beats it. So yeah, I've taken a lot of samples a couple of times in low light, and the Zenfone 5Z clearly takes the lead here. That's quite strange, but then good for you, Asus. Now let's come to the portrait mode. So the Zenfone 5Z has this slider sort of thing where you can control how much of the bokeh you want. The OnePlus 6 was more consistent with its bokeh effect, but then the Zenfone was a bit over the place. If you set the aperture too less, it might actually blur parts of the object, but then if you set it right, it can actually produce some very good photos. In fact, the blur effect is actually better than the OnePlus 6 in some of the photos, but then overall portrait mode is good on both of these phones. Moving on to the selfie cameras, the OnePlus 6 definitely has an edge here. While the portrait mode on the Zenfone 5Z produces more blur, the OnePlus 6 retains more details, and it's actually even better in low light. So the front-facing camera is 100% better on the OnePlus 6. Lastly, let's talk about video. Both of these phones do a good job here, but the OnePlus 6 has better colors. They have EIS and OIS, and both of them can record 4K 60fps. The Zenfone 5Z also lets you have manual controls like manual focus in video, which the OnePlus 6 lacks. But then the OnePlus 6 lets you shoot raw photos, which the Zenfone 5Z can't. Both of these phones also support 240fps videos at 1080p, but then the OnePlus 6 also offers 480fps at 720p, so that's pretty cool if you want to take slow-mo shots. Overall, if I have to be honest, I find the camera setup on the Zenfone 5Z to be more feature-rich and versatile than the OnePlus 6. The wide-angle lens is good to have, the images are actually better in low light than the OnePlus 6, and considering that it's at least 5000 rupees cheaper, the Zenfone 5Z is definitely a sweet deal. The only area where you have to compromise is in terms of the front-facing camera, but then if you're okay with that, you shouldn't have any problems with the Zenfone 5Z. So yeah, ultimately the choice is yours. I've pointed the pros and cons of both of these phones, and I hope you guys can now make a decision on which phone you want to buy. Anyways, that was my camera comparison between the Zenfone 5Z and the OnePlus 6. A lot more videos are coming on both of these phones as well as the Vivo Nex. So if you're new to the channel, then hit that red subscribe button and press the bell icon so that you don't miss out on my new videos. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please hit that thumbs up button and also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter and Instagram pages. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back in your notifications very soon. Bye.